As runners, we all challenge ourselves in ways we never thought possible, pushing the boundaries of what we're capable of to smash through targets and set ourselves new, bigger and better ones.
This awesome hobby that we share gives us one thing in common, and it brings us together as a community. Whether you're working towards completing your first parkrun or you're a veteran of the sport who's run 100 ultra marathons, we all know the feeling of reaching that maxed out effort and our own red line.
Welcome to our podcast, where your hosts Brett Elsmore and Andy Maguire discuss the struggles, the successes and everything in between on our running journeys, as we all work towards the next time we're running the red line. Right, welcome to episode 13 of Running the Red Line. Episode 13, unlucky for some, but we are here on a Friday evening. My name's Brett, and I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Andy. How you doing this week, mate?
I'm all right. Yeah, thanks. Week 13. It kind of coincides really nicely with these podcasts because I'm on week 13 of training. So I'm at the end of my peak now because I'm 2 weeks behind you. My marathon's 2 weeks after yours. So coming up to the end of my peak, and I'm hoping to get 100k on the board for the first time in 12 months this week, which would be 60 mile. So yes, I've left. What have I got to do? I'm at 62, something like that. I've got I can't remember. I've basically got 40k to run in 2 days. So I think I'm going to do a big one on Sunday.
Okay.
30k on Sunday, and then park run plus warm down, cool down tomorrow.
Nice.
What a warm up and cool down. So yeah, that's the exciting part.
You're coming over our way, aren't you, for parkrun tomorrow?
I'm Aravallying tomorrow, yes, because I want to be speedy tomorrow, and that's where a lot of the fast cats hang out on a Saturday morning, because Aravalli is quite a fast parkrun, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's tarmac the whole way. It's largely flat. And there's some fast runners that do it. So yeah, I quite fancy a time trial tomorrow to see where I'm at.
Nice.
I'm not going to say any more than that. It might go awfully. So it was a marathon pace. Marathon pace. That's what I was. That's what I was setting out to do.
Of course. Yeah. You're just like me. Every time you set off, way too fast. I did exactly that yesterday in my session. Set off. I was like, right, I'm going to do this. The session set by Andy, our coach, was if we're doing a half marathon or marathon, do a 4 mile time trial out on the bus route, 2 mile out, 2 mile back, and run it at race pace. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to run at marathon pace, 6:40 a mile, set off, first mile, 6:20.
Sorry, coach. Yeah. just quickly speaking about race pace. Last week went down to Gloucester to roar my wife Laura over the line. She completed her first solo 10k. So she did really well. Laura. And so she did really well. A few of us from Worcester all went down, and everyone had a good morning. But what was also quite good about it was there was a chance to see a potential Olympian in the flesh. So Mark Scott, who I believe is running London in a week or two.
He is, yes.
He's hoping it's his debut. He's hoping to dip under the qualifying time for an Olympic spot. Well, he ran the Gloucester half as a warm up, and it was sickening to see him run past. I saw him twice. Once on in the first 200 meters, and his last 200 meters, and he was the same pace. He looked like he was just having a jog through a park, and he was lightning fast. I looked at his Strava, and he was doing 4:50s. Yeah. And that wasn't including his finish line. He probably didn't do a finish line sprint, did he? But he just looked so smooth. Yeah. That's the word, smooth.
Elite marathon pace. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? It's so crazy.
It just looks so effortless. Yeah. So yeah,
to be running sub 5 minute miles for 26 miles is just ridiculous. I don't understand it, but it's another world from where we are. But there we go. Right, so this week is a bit of a special episode, isn't it?
Yes.
So we have a very special guest this week. So I am going to bring him into the chat now. So here we go.
Let's hope he's still there. Here he is.
Hello, lads. How you doing? Good evening.
Good, mate.
How you doing?
So I'm gonna put you as the main. There we go.
The main event.
So,
I might have to put the main light on. I think it's looking a bit grainy on my screen. Shall I put the big light on? See if it's any better.
There we go. That's
decent. That's good. That's good.
All right, cool.
It's better. So, Andy, do you want to take over and introduce our special guest?
Well, it's an honor, really, because it's someone who's on the podcast who I've been watching for a long time.
Yep.
On YouTube. So
same here.
Yeah, this guy's got a wicked YouTube channel, and yeah, Brett and I have both been fanboying him for a long time, and we've both been saying, "Oh, it'd be great if we can get Will on." Both, it'd be great if we can all have a chat. And it's, by the sounds of things, someone who equally likes talking about running as much as we do. So yes, we're delighted.
I'm honoured to be on this.
we're delighted to introduce to you the Woo, aka I'll start that again. Will Fu, aka the Woo. So welcome.
I'm absolutely honoured to be on it. This is my Sunday long run podcast, and it's so good how it comes out just in time for the long run as well.
Yeah. Well, it's the long podcasts that we do are probably going to be about twice as long, so we do apologise in advance. But I tell you what, Will, you take the floor, and why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us all a bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm just a guy who started running a few years ago. Not been running that long. I think it was end of 2018, something like that, where I started running. And it wasn't me who started running first. It was my wife. One day she was just like, "Oh, I want to do something. I'm going to enter the ballot for London Marathon." So I was like, "You're crazy, but I'll go running with you." I hated running, and I couldn't run like more than 3K without wanting to stop. But yeah, got into running. COVID came, started training, did my first event before COVID, and sort of got hooked on then, and started watching YouTube, as you do, to learn about things. And yeah, it went on from then. I just got a camera, started vlogging, and started from there, just wanting to push myself and see how far I could get, and set my goals. As you know, it's a sub-3 marathon. I've still not done it since 2000. What was it? 2021, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say you've set yourself some big goals with what you've wanted to do, but you've come so close to that big goal so many times. What was the fastest one you've done?
How close?
9 seconds over 3 hours. Yeah, the first one, and that's my PB. I'm not. Yeah.
Where was that?
Manchester, first one. Yeah, the first time Manchester. 9 seconds. It was
this year. You're going back to avenge.
It is. It's the trilogy. Yeah.
So you were there last. You were there last year, right?
Last year, yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
I ran.
So how did it go last year?
I think 33 or 32 seconds over again. And then I ran Amsterdam, which was 32 or 33. So I basically ran 1 second off from Amsterdam and Manchester. So yeah, very close, but no cigar.
But tell us about Amsterdam, because I was watching your video of that, and I was like, "You're on for this sub-3. It's going to happen." And then what happened?
Well, weirdly, I got to 38K, and you know what it's like at 38K. You're either absolutely dying, but I was actually all right. I was actually thinking, I'm going to do it. Today's the day. And then just like that, both cramping both legs.
Whereabouts did the cramp come on? Was it in your hamstrings or your quads?
Hamstrings, calves, I think, both legs.
Wow.
Everywhere. It felt like everywhere, bro.
Yeah, I don't
Honestly,
think I've ever finished a marathon without cramp. It's horrible, isn't it?
No, it's I couldn't. Basically, both my legs were just paralyzed, and I was like, "It's over."
I would go as far as to say there's an iconic photograph of you from the Amsterdam Marathon, which at the time you were probably like, I want to get this photo and throw it in the bin. But I think it's such a good photo. It's just, if anyone doesn't know what I'm on about, it's basically Will at, I guess, 38K, and you're on your ass, you're on the floor, and you just look destroyed by the marathon.
I was gutted. I really was, because I honestly thought I was going to do it at that point. And I was thinking about all the glory, but then again, I guess that's what the marathon is, isn't it? It's like, you never know.
It's a cruel beast, isn't it?
You never know. You never know.
Because I guess for a lot of us, there's usually some warning signs by 16 mile or 25K, 30K, and you've got past 35K and you're still feeling good, and then bang, 38, 4K to go, less than a parkrun to go. So you've even said that blooming thing that we all say to ourselves, less than a parkrun to go, and you're feeling all right by then, and then bang.
Yeah, so, absolutely. It's.
Do you have any reason, or any reason or rhyme? Do you know what happened that day?
I mean, I think it was just muscle fatigue, because I'd not had the best camp from Amsterdam. I was putting in the miles, but I think I was being a bit lazy with like strength and mobility and all that stuff, which I did before, but because I was, not sleeping and things, I was getting a bit lazy, to be honest, with all the other stuff. So I think maybe if I'd had a bit of stronger hamstrings, I think I have very weak hamstrings. That's what I found out. And I remember listening to your podcast on here talking about that bridge exercise, where if you push your legs out a little bit, you can actually put the weight on your hamstring, and that finds out if you've got weak hamstrings very quickly. And I had very weak hamstrings, so I think that could have been the cause. But it's one of them things I don't really know, because every marathon I've tried to do something that I thought was the problem, but I'm always not finishing strong. Like I don't. That's why the marathon, I like it, because it's just the hardest to crack for me. I just can't crack it. I can't crack that last bit of the marathon. Whereas the half marathon, I can blitz it.
Yeah, a lot of people say that cramp is brought on from not enough electrolytes or not enough water or things like that. But you're not sure it was electrolytes at all, are you?
No, because so many people I was talking to about Amsterdam, so many people just said, get more electrolytes down you. I'm just like, well, I had a lot on the day, really, because it was in my gels. I had a bottle with me, and I'd done everything right leading up. So and it was a cold day, Amsterdam. It was pissing it down that day, really quite cold. So I just don't think I'd sweat that much. I mean, I might be wrong. I might be completely wrong, but it's just something I've not gone down. I've not even used electrolyte water in my long runs this time or anything. And
see,
I don't think I've used electrolytes, because it's not even in my chews. So
okay, because I'm a very sweaty runner. I notice after a long run, when I get back, I've got white all over my face where my sweat has dried on my face and it's left white marks. Do you get that much at all?
I do, yeah. In the summer, definitely, around the mouth and all that sort of stuff. I think most people will, if they sweat a lot, get that. But I don't know. I'm going to go into this one using less electrolytes than before. I know it sounds crazy. I'm actually going less, because it's not in my chews. Like I say, I'm using chews now, so they don't seem to put them in the OTE ones. So technically, I'll be having less. So
I've heard good things about OTE. I've heard good things about OTE. They're didn't we speak to them at the show?
Did, I bought some electrolyte tabs from them, some pineapple ones. They were really good, actually. But you did a video from the running show, and you went to pretty much every stand, didn't you? Trying all the different chews and gels and stuff.
I'd never even thought about it, but when I tasted them, I was like, this is quite easy to eat, really. And I think we're all using gels, right? Is that right?
Yeah. I don't think any of us are using liquid chews, gels. Yeah, we're all using. Yeah.
So, I suppose they count as a chew, solid. Don't they? The Vooms, yeah.
But because you did try the Talks ones, didn't you? But they were.
I tried their gels, but I mean, to be honest, in the training, I've been using everything because I've got old stock and stuff. High Five, had some old Mortons, but on the day, I'll definitely use chews because I've practiced with those now, and I do find them quite easy to eat. And I just, you can breathe with them when you sort of running. So I'll try.
And he's been nicking your technique,
squirrel technique.
Running around.
But I don't know what I don't know what those bars I've seen them, but I don't know what the texture's like, or I've not actually tried that brand
it's a bit like Kendall mint cake.
Kendall mint cake. So that's what everyone always says that when they try a Voom bar.
But it's fruit flavored, so it just melts in your mouth. So rather than it being jelly like, it's more solid, but just melts as soon as you bite into it.
It doesn't give you. Sometimes I think the reason why I've done marathons and had like one gel, because I'm so scared of the gag reflex that I probably accumulate by about 30k that I just think I ain't going to bother. I can't bother to have any more gels. But you don't seem to get that, or I don't. I haven't been getting that with the Voom bars, because they're genuinely like a melt in your mouth kind of texture, and I don't think they really have a sickly, a sickly. Can't really say ride, but you know what I mean. They don't really give you that kind of.
Yeah, they don't just think you don't get bored. Even though they're mainly sugar, they don't seem overly sweet, which some of the gels can, and it fights its way like back up, even though you're trying to take them down. And also, I don't like the feeling of the liquidy gels once they hit your stomach, just being liquidy and sloshing about. The fact that these are a bit more solid, they seem to sit better. But one of the reasons I'm mixing mine up and using two different types of fuel as well is so I don't get that flavour fatigue and don't get that. I don't want to take it on at the end. I can mix it up and take something different, so it's a change.
Yeah. And do these chews that you two are using have electrolytes in, or are you taking them separate?
Some of the flavours do.
The lemon and lime one do that I use.
Yeah. So, they do a lemon and lime and a raspberry that has electrolytes in it. And then their berry and grapefruit have caffeine in instead. Yeah. And then the other type that I use, the Power Bar sweets, they've got caffeine in. So I've got separate electrolyte capsules as well. I use salt stick capsules.
Yeah, that was one people told me to try. Actually,
Brett's going to be running around Manchester like a blooming rep for Superdrug. He's going to have about 14 different things in his hand.
I'm going to take one of those Holland boxes. Do you know where they've got the days of the week on?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah.
We just change them to different times or different mile markers.
So, Will, I'd be interested to find out what you thought about Morton then. When was the last time so I've never tried them. When was the last time you trained and raced with Morton?
I think the last time was the one before Amsterdam, I think. And that was that York? No, Manchester. Yeah, Manchester last year. This time last year, I think I used Morton, And then decided
how did you get on?
Stop. The reason why I take Morton is just because of the consistency. It's almost like a jelly. So it's almost halfway there to be a chew, because I've just never got on with taking liquid, going quite fast. You've gulped it down. You've probably, you've had the same experience where you've taken one and you've stopped coughing. It went, and I just didn't quite like the liquid. So Morton was the only one it's kind of like a melted jelly paste. So it's easy to get down. And that's really the only reason I used it. I find it hard to really hard to, like, I find it hard to get a brand and go, yeah, that worked for me, because honestly, I can take anything. I've used decathlon gels just because I was in decathlon. I thought I'll try these out. And I've used High Five, used Morton. I've used so many, and I don't think I've ever had a problem stomach-wise. I think I'm just sort of can chuck anything down. So I just go for consistency, taste, and price, I guess. Morton's really expensive, so I thought I'm not going to be buying tons of Morton to train all them weeks, and I'll just go High Five because they were cheap.
What sort of price are Morton gels?
Oh God, they can be like £3,
per gel. Wow.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. I used to use Morton in the race, but I'd train with anything. But for Amsterdam, I was like, well, if I'm going to train with High Five, I'll use High Five in the race, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I landed on my arse, so I don't know if that was a good idea or not.
It was the fuel. It's always the fueling. It was the fueling.
So, it's hard to say. So this time I'm using Dews, so something different, isn't it? Really, to see how it goes.
Because the Voom bars that we use, they're £1.50 for a bar, and a bar is equivalent to 2 gels.
Oh right, that's really cheap then.
Yeah, so it's like 75p a gel, basically.
Yeah, it's super cheap. I'll have to try that out.
We'll let you know in a couple of weeks. Yeah, if they work. Don't go. I'm sorry if you spent 50 quid on it, guys. No, they don't work. Turns out they don't work. Yeah, but I'm the same. My only real, I mean, I've been having them. Probably going to get slaughtered for saying this, but I don't really take any fuel with me on training runs below 10 mile because I just think that A, it's expensive, and B, I just don't want to waste them. So I normally, sometimes up to a half marathon, I can, even on a race, actually, I got into when races start to come thick and fast in like April, May, June. And last year I got into a rhythm of just having my breakfast and turning up to a race and doing the races. And I didn't need to fuel. So there's an argument there, isn't there, that you don't actually need to fuel for anything under 2 hours or an hour and 45 or whatever the science is. So
I don't fuel for a half marathon, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, like Alton Towers last year, I didn't take any fuel on at all. I didn't even take any water during a half.
I think like, because if you run a fast half, you're not really on your feet for that long, really. Like if some people are running it like sub 120, it's not that long, is it? So you probably wouldn't need
survivable, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
My only real knowledge of these Voom bars that I've been trying was that 20 miler that Brett and I took part in a few weeks ago. And I took quite a few. I took during the 20 miles, I think I ended up taking about the equivalent of 6 gels. So I got through them. I made myself get through them, which would be equivalent to probably 8 gels on the day, which I don't know. Is that, I don't think there's a such thing as too much. It's just what's worked for you. And I've never done anything about more than 3 gels in a marathon, because by the third one I've said, no, I can't be asked. So yeah, we'll wait and see what I do on marathon day. Maybe I'll get as far as 8. I don't know. But what I was doing was front loading the electrolyte ones, the ones that are packed full of glucose, and the other ones with the caffeine ones. And I was using them towards the end because I'm just constantly worried that the caffeine will do something bad to my stomach. And caffeine sort of gives me a short-term boost as well. So yeah, that's probably the way I'll do it. I'll probably go the green, lemon and lime ones first, the electrolyte ones, and then towards the end, it's just going to be a caffeine frenzy.
Do you take it do you take it via time or distance?
Distance, which I know is probably not the best way to do it. But last year at the 20 miler, I can't remember the maths now. And as we know on this podcast, maths ain't my strong suit. So I think I was doing it every 5 to 6K, but I know probably every 20 to 25 minutes is probably a better way to do it, maybe. But I got through it on the last race, so I must have worked.
I do it by distance as well. I take first one at 6 mile, and then every 3 mile after that. But they say that you should, like, generally people need about 70 grams of carbs per hour during a race.
It's a lot, isn't it?
So you should, which is a lot.
It is a lot to take.
It's just over 3 gels, isn't it? Because gels are like 22, 23 grams. So
that's 9 gels for a sub 3 runner. Like, that's 12 for a sub 4. That's quite a lot. Yeah.
Apparently some of the elites as well are taking 100 grams an hour. So
did you carry a bottle with you for Amsterdam? Did you say, or Manchester, Will?
Yeah, I think it was a 250 ml, but that only had electrolyte water, and there's no carbohydrates in that.
Did you literally carry it, or was it in your belt?
Everything's in my belt. Yeah.
But
that was just water. It wasn't any carbs.
Yeah.
So
Will, should we talk about your last? Well, I don't know. A lot of people like to do a 16-week block, or maybe get Christmas out of the way and then start training. How's it been for you for your training block leading up to this Manchester race? How is it compared to others? And do you have any expectations for the actual race? Obviously, we know you're big super target, but what are your thoughts and feelings on how you've trained?
This marathon block's, it's been going really well actually, and then around the North Links, which I did on, what was it, about a month ago? North Links, maybe, around that. And then after that, it sort of started reaching into the peak phase where you should be really, hitting getting the meat of it. But instead of building on from the North Links, I was sort of getting injuries on my feet. I think I've got a condition, I'm going to kill the pronunciation, but it's called metatarsalgia, I think it's called. That's what I've read, where it's sort of the pains in the balls and the midfoot area, and it's on both feet. So I started getting that, and I had that going into the North Links, but I didn't really talk about it much. And I think
it's the half marathon, isn't it?
Yeah, I had it. Yeah. I had it in that, and I was a little bit worried because I knew if I raced hard, it could either go, to a point where it's a full-on injury, or it'd be all right. But it started getting worse after that, and then from then on, I was, instead of like really focusing on those key, those key weeks where you start to really hit the meat of it, I was actually just being held back from this, and then I started to hit a bit of a low.
I had a question about your foot injury or feet injury, because I've heard in the past a lot of people talk about vaporflies and alpha flies and say how pronounced the arch in them is. Do you think that changing over to the alpha flies? Oh no, sorry, it's vapor flies that you've been using, haven't you? Yeah.
I think what's happened is I've used my vapor flies too much on the long runs every week. I really do think it's that, because when I've not worn them for a while now, the vapor flies actually, and it's got a lot better already. And I don't know if it is that, but I was using my Next Percent 2s for every long run. And I know people say you shouldn't train all the time in carbons or whatever, but I've never had this problem. And if I wear my Adidas, it's no way near as painful. So I just think I run I run poorer in Nike, I've noticed. And I don't know if that's caused it. I'm not sure if it's forcing me to be more on my tippy toes. I'm not really sure. But when I wear Adidas, I run better for sure. Yeah, and I think that could be it, maybe.
Possibly.
Brett's going to put a poster of you on his wall now. Because you just
he loves Adidas.
Right? He loves it. Yeah,
he does. Yeah, I remember.
Have you noticed that, Andy, that the arch is pronounced in like vapor flies and stuff compared to other shoes?
Well, I have sort of retired my vapor flies now for I don't know, 1 in 10 runs at the moment, sort of maybe 1 in less than that. So I don't really have a problem with it. I'll tell you what I'm feeling today, but this could be the fatigue of a speedy session, but I'm feeling a little bit of tightness in my calves and my Achilles from yesterday, because I did a 200s and 400 session yesterday. So I don't know if that's anything to do with the shoes, or if that's the fast being on my tiptoes rather than midfoot striking. But I get a problem with my toes, but again, that could be my running form. I don't know, or my weirdly shaped toes. The Vaporflies seem to, I don't know if it's the mesh, but I know there's a mesh on most carbon shoes now, but pretty much all of them to keep the weight down. But the common repeated thing I seem to get is my middle or my second toe seems to rub against the third toe every time I wear my Vaporflies and nothing else. So I don't know what if that's the shape of the shoe or what it is, but arch wise, no, I don't really have much to grumble about, because I do actually like the way that the Vaporflies make me feel, especially when I'm trying to run a effort. So, which is what they're designed for. But I do actually really like the way they feel. However, I have heard so many people complain about the arch pain on, might be more the Alpha Fly than the Vaporfly, but they're probably a very similar design, aren't they? But what's interesting as well, though, isn't your metatarsal thing interesting? Because in Adidas, could be wrong, but isn't the carbon plate like a metatarsal shape almost? Aren't they rods that run through?
Yeah, it's not a solid plate. They're rods that follow the shape of your metatarsals in your toes. Yeah,
that is interesting. Is it only on one foot, by the way?
Both now,
both. Oh, interesting.
That's what got me down a little bit, because it was starting to become serious. Well, not serious. I'd say it started to shift from being a niggle to an injury, and for me, that point of what clarifies as the shift is if it starts to become to the point of discomfort where it changes the way you run. For me, that's an injury. So it was, and I was starting to put pressure on the outsides or even heel strike, all that sort of stuff. So that's when I was like, okay, this is worrying. And I think someone even commented on my video actually on the Chesterfield 10K saying, "Oh, you need to get your form checked out or something." I mean, I don't know how they managed to see that on like 2 seconds of an angle pointing down at my foot, but they were right. I was like, yeah, you've noticed it. I am running a bit weirdly, but it could be the Nikes. I don't know. Who knows? I mean,
have you got a big shoe rotation? Have you got a lot of shoes that you go through, or have you got ones that you constantly go to?
I used to, but they've all come to that point where they've all retired now. So I'm sort of trying to use what I had, and just not buy any new shoes really, because shoes are becoming so expensive now that you can't just go out and go, oh, I'll try that out. It's like you have to really think about getting it right now, because like a cheap shoe now is what, $160 or something.
I
don't know, it's crazy now, isn't it?
Because did I notice that was it your Chesterfield 10K where you were wearing your Adios Pro 2s again, the white ones?
Pro 3s.
You're wearing Pro 3s, because I saw you were wearing the white ones, and I thought you can't be wearing those Pro 2s. You've done so many miles in those.
I wore the Pro 3s because I wanted to see how it felt not wearing the Nikes, and it did feel better. So I've not worn them. I can't remember the last time I wore the Nikes, to be honest. I've wore the Nike Next Percent 3s. I think I wore that in the gym actually. But I think they're similar to the Next Percent 2s. They just, there's something about Nike that make me run like poorer in my form. I think that's the thing, where Adidas, when I go into it, it just feels so like smooth, and I'm not thinking about it. They sort of disappear and it's not in your mind. Whereas when I'm in the Vaporflies, I always think I'm in the Vaporflies, and it doesn't disappear in my mind. It doesn't melt away. It's sort of there. And I think that's when I'm going to have to use the Adidas Pro 3s again for Manchester, I think, because I think the Nikes are probably not best suited to my feet or running style or whatever it is.
because I've obviously only ever run in Adidas, but when I've looked at the Nikes or like felt them in the shop or whatever, the foam seems so much softer. And then because it's got such a rigid plate, obviously to make it flex better. I don't know whether that is something to do with it. The fact that you've got that really soft foam with that really rigid plate, whereas the foam is a bit more dense in the Adidas, so it's giving you a bit more support all over.
I think so. I think Adidas give me more support. I think it feels like a more stable shoe, even though it's not the most stable shoe. But it compared to the Nikes, I'm thinking that's the downfall of it, really. But I think if you're a really good, runner with a really, really good form, and you can sort of use the Nikes, they are a brilliant shoe in performance. But some I don't think I've got very good form as it is, so I need that sort of support and platform with the Adidas gives me. So, but I think I'm going to have to use Adidas for Manchester, and the sort of next percent threes are going to have to just be in training sessions, I guess. So they've not really worked out for me. I'm not sure. You're just Adidas, right? You've not.
Yeah, I've only ever used Adidas. I've never used another brand.
They should be sponsoring you.
Come on, Adidas, please.
Please. I was going to say I picked up. I know they're pretty much discontinued now, but I picked up Black Friday because up near us, it was an hour drive to get. There's a place called Cannock, sort of north of Birmingham, on the M6, and there's an outlet retail shop. There's a Macarthur Glen or something. I think there's one up in York. There's one sort of the outlet retail shopping things dotted all around the country, aren't there? But this one in Cannock has got a Saucony shop, and it's the first customer-facing Saucony one in the country, I think. Wow. And I went in there, and they had, and I don't know, a bit of not buyer's remorse, but no, it's the opposite of that because I didn't even buy it. Basically, there were some Pro 3s that they were selling as a Black Friday deal for. Well, I decided to pick up the Speed 3s for 85 quid with a discount. Oh, wow. And this is up to October or November just gone. And I think the Pro 3s were retail value sort of on sports shoes or something were about 150, 160. And in the shop, they're about 105, 108. And I just wish that I was stood back in that shop and I would have picked some up because I've heard so many people talking about the Saucony Pro 3s and that the Pro 4s are maybe even better. So I don't know. Maybe Saucony have got it all sussed out. I don't know, but I'm seeing more and more people in Saucony these days, especially at longer runs. They seem to have they seem to have worked out. I think their problem is they made the Speed 2s so close to the Pro 2s that the Speed 3s, I don't mind them. For the speeds I run and what I use them for is mainly easy and just easy long runs. I don't really mind it, but a lot of people said they completely lost their pop because they deliberately made, I don't know how they did it, changed the angle of the drop. I don't know what they did, or they put more foam in the Speed 3s, but they were just different. They're a bit muddier than the Pro 3s. So I think Saucony did that on purpose because they realized that everyone was getting the Speed 2s when they should have been getting its bigger brother, which was the Pro 2s. So, but a long way of saying that I wish I'd have picked up the Saucony Pro 3s. But yeah, I'm content with mine. I just think they're so sexy, my Adidas. I really genuinely like my Adidas Pro 3s. And I think if it weren't for Brett, I don't think I'd be having these in my hand, to be honest, because I'd probably...
They are amazing. They are amazing.
I probably would have stuck with Nike, I think. But he's been banging on about it for years now. So I ended up giving in and going to get some. And I'm really glad I did. So I ran the Yorkshire Marathon and Chester Marathon in them. But in a way, I kind of wish I'd have worn a different shoe because those races I didn't really train for. But in a good way, I've got 50 mile in them now. And I literally have only worn them for them races. So they've got almost... I don't think I've even got 100 mile in those shoes. So
they've broken in. They're coming into their best form now.
Yeah, hopefully they're in the sweet spot now. So it's funny how life goes, isn't it? Sometimes
they're going to run you a 3:30, sub 3:30. That.
Whoa,
yes,
let's
they are.
Let's not say anything that's too incriminating. But you never know. You never know. But yeah, I was going to ask you as well, Will, because you touched on it just 5 minutes ago about the Chesterfield 10K that you did, which is part of your training block. Tell us about Barry's videos.
Oh, Barry's videos. That was basically.
You said that. It sounded. You said it. You ran past it and you said, "Oh, there's Barry's videos." Used to get some. That was dodgy movies from there.
Yeah, old school video shop, and it was great because when my dad wanted to treat us, he'd treat us to an 18 film, and we'd get something like Critters or Predator or Beastmaster. Oh, those were the days.
What a great film Critters was.
Yeah, it was so good, and I'd be like, Daddy, can I have this? And it's like Critters or something. And he goes, oh, it's 18, but yeah, it's a treat.
it's a treat.
Yeah, it was great. And Barry didn't care. He knew my dad was getting it for me, but he was great as well, Barry.
Well, Barry was making money. He didn't care what
Child's
he was
Play
saying,
as well. Child's Play. Watched all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's...
Any RoboCop, everything. Yeah.
Old school RoboCop as well on video. So you had the melting man scene in the acid, whereas they got rid of that in all of the TV releases.
They did.
Yeah, they don't make video. Video shops are they were the best.
Oh, they were.
I'm not talking about Blockbuster. I'm talking about proper, independent. Yeah. Like Barry's videos. What a name!
Barry's
that
videos,
is just legendary in Chesterfield. I bet you said that, and instantly everyone knows exactly what you mean. Yeah. So that must have been a good race running around your hometown.
It was. It's I couldn't believe. I honestly didn't expect it to be that well organised, and the event was great because it was set in Queen's Park, which it's not a massive park, but it's quite nice. And it was really good support. It had stalls, it had good atmosphere. It even had the like the screen at the start line and everything. So for a small little town, it felt much bigger than it should have been, really. So I think they broke the record as. I think they said there was over 1.2 thousand. I think.
Wow!
And that was the most they've ever had. So
were you expecting it to turn up and it feel like a bit like a park run sort of thing?
Yeah, I thought it'd be like low key, but it wasn't. It was really good, and
it looked hilly as well. Didn't you say some of the hills are
definitely not a fast course, but I'd like to race it one time. I'll definitely try it since it's my hometown, but it was. It's interesting. It's an interesting course, but not something I'd wanted to race then. I was happy to just chill in that one. But,
did you fancy treating yourself to the Sheffield Half? Because is that this weekend?
That is this weekend, yes.
I was going to do it. Manchester, I would have been.
I was going to do it, but a lot of sub 3 people told me not to do it, and I'm going to take their advice because they said even if you run it slowly, which I was planning to do, obviously. Yeah. They were just like, because of the elevation so much, it will fatigue your calves.
Yeah.
And there's 100%. Not really much point in doing that a weekend.
Yeah, right.
So I thought, you're right. Because I do have a 20K run on my plan on that day as well. So I thought, it works out fine. Sheffield Half.
Are you going to go that long this weekend?
It's on my plan to be 20 or 21 or something. And it's asking me to put in 12K, I think, or something, or 10, 12K of faster than marathon pace running. So
what plan are you working to?
I'm doing the Macmillan running, macmillanrunning.com, I think it is. It's quite a famous
plan?
coach. You pay for it, and it's tailored towards all your paces and things like that. So it's sort of they've got their own little calculator thing, and it alters depending on your race and things. But you can pay more monthly for actual coaching. But I didn't go with that. I'm just going to do what I normally do: follow the plan, listen to my body, switch things around, all that sort of jazz, and see how it goes. I mean, I've got close doing it, so I don't think I need to make massive changes. I think it's just there's one thing that I need to nail that I'm not nailing that'll see me over the line, sort of thing. So it's not massive change. It's all the same sort of sessions, isn't it? You do like your tempos and a bit of speed work, and the long run. It's very, very similar. And the rest is sort of filler with easy runs, isn't it? I think we all do roughly something like that.
Yeah.
So it's
so
something.
have you stepped up your S&C this time round?
Massively, yeah. Not missed one. So I do one core and one leg session a week, and then make sure I don't miss it. Whereas Amsterdam, I was just so tired because I was not sleeping, where I'd just not bother doing it, and I got complacent as well. So this time I'm like, let's make sure if it was the problem, I've sort of ticked it at least,
Yeah.
And then it might end up being the electrolytes, but yeah,
it's always the electrolytes.
But yeah, if my hamstring goes again, I'm just like, well, I don't know, because I have strengthened it. My legs feel quite strong, my core's strong, and if I do break down again, I'm just going to be like, well, I don't really know where to go from there.
Yeah. Well, as I say though, I've never finished a marathon and not had cramp at the end. So I'm still trying to work out how to get rid of cramp. And
has it ever put you on your arse where you've not been able to sort of recover straight away, or have you?
It's never put me on my arse, but it's made me pull up properly and have to stop and properly stretch it out, because there are points where it hits so hard you cannot carry on running through it. It's just so painful. And that happened last year at Manchester. So both of the times that the cramp came on, I had to fully stop and step to the side of the road. It was like, do you know when like you stretch an elastic band and then just let it go and it pings? It was like someone had done that to my hamstring and it just went fully tight. And I've just limped to the side of the road and had to gently stretch it out until it would actually like relax to full length, then try and get off again.
Yeah.
So by the end on that last straight, I was more or less running with straight legs, trying not to flex my hamstrings.
It's awful. It's absolutely awful.
Yeah. So with your training, because obviously you're working to that training plan, have you ever thought of joining a club or anything like that to have more structured stuff? Or
I mean, I've always, well, I have been. I'm not anymore, but I have been a member of like the Steel City Striders in Sheffield. But I don't really train with. I don't really train with them. It's more of a social thing. But I've not renewed my membership because I'm sort of, like I say, I don't really train with them. So I wasn't really meeting them. I wasn't doing the events. So I thought I'd just sort of go clubless now, because I am just training for my own events and things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you're very dedicated, aren't you, to sort of the club stuff and the cross country?
Yeah.
And I think that well, you're quite ahead of me anyway in terms of running level at the moment. But I think the club stuff.
I don't know. I think we're pretty much on a similar level. I think you are just as quick as me if we got down to the bare bones of it.
Well, I'm not sure, but I think the club stuff really does help people, from what I've heard, and it's something I'm looked at in the future. But it's just the structure, isn't it? Because it's hard, because I couldn't make the times they would do their like speed session and things like that. It wouldn't sit into where I wanted it, and I found that quite difficult. So yeah, I'll definitely think about joining another club after.
Yeah, because that is one of the issues, isn't it? Yeah, if you can't fit the sessions into your schedule, then it's not going to work, is it? But
it's difficult, that.
One thing I did want to say about, I saw you running with a group. I don't know whether it was a club run or something, and you did the really steep hill in Sheffield.
Oh,
because I just wanted to see how that compared to Andy's Old Witch Road from
mine was steeper.
I think that road that I ran, and I can't remember what it was now. Is it the third? I don't know what they told me. It was the third in the country, the steepest apparently. I can't remember if it was the third or something.
I don't think it really matters, does it? Because it's horrible. It just becomes, if your face starts like you just start melting into the pavement at one point going up there. So do you remember what you did? Did you do reps or did you just do what? I can't remember what you did because I know the video Brett means, but I can't remember what your training session was. Were you going up and down it or were you just going up it once?
No, we just up it. But in Sheffield, you're always going up and down it. That's the problem with Sheffield, actually. It's great for the hills and the trails and the Peak District, and the trail runners. But I'm a boring road runner and I'm just terrible with all that sort of stuff. So like when I see people do cross country and stuff like fell running, I'm just like, bloody hell, they're on a different level because I'm just terrible with hills. I really am. I'm just really bad with it. So Sheffield's really good if you're into all that, and it's hard to find any flat around here. So that speed work, it's hard, but the strength and conditioning of hill running, but I just don't, it's something I just don't really enjoy. And
so it's funny how everyone goes to like Kenya or Portugal for a training camp. They just go to Sheffield. That's what you need.
It's very hilly around here, but I guess it's good. But it's just I think there's so many people in Sheffield that love the outdoors and getting muddy and all that sort of stuff. And they do the cross. I live next to Sheffield's biggest park actually, and they hold the cross country. So sometimes cross country. I'm not sure what event it is, but I do sometimes watch that, and I'm just like, bloody hell, how do you enjoy this? It's just brutal. I mean, it's just brutal.
An effort like a hard 10K is bad enough, arguably harder than a 5K, but on grass through the mud with with 1,000
and it's usually
other
pissing it down as well.
Yeah. So I'm with you on that, Will. I don't know what psychopaths want to do that.
Great fun. As soon as you get out there, it's great fun. It's horrendous whilst you're doing it, but as soon as you finish it, the rush of endorphins is brilliant.
Does it give you a chance to practice your racing strategies? Because is it fair to say that once you're in cross country, once the gun goes, is there any point looking at your watch? Because you just literally running on that red line, and you just sort of literally racing.
I mean, because pace goes out the window when you're running cross country. There is no point in running to pace because I mean, even every lap is going to be different to like the lap before, let alone different to running on road. And each time you could run the same course 2 days apart, and you would run it completely different because the course would be completely different. So your pace goes out the window, and it's just effort. It is just running to what you think you can sustain for that 10K.
Yeah. It sounds.
It sounds
horrible.
It looks brutal.
Well, you know my fear and phobia because I came last at school. I faked my asthma attack. So that's I don't know if I could do it myself again because that's probably what would happen. So if you ever see me on a cross country course and I'm going, anyone got an inhaler? You're like, don't believe him. He's not.
You haven't had asthma for years.
Yeah. But Will, is it?
Yeah.
Go on, mate.
I'm just saying, like the cross country. I think that's why I think you're a bit your head of like me, because I think you do all these things and you've broke sub 3. Like I think the mental side of doing all this cross country, getting up early in mud, the rain, I think it builds that character. Whereas me, I've avoided, like especially in the last year and this year, I've avoided days when it's been pissing it down. I've gone to the gym. I've got softer.
Okay.
I know I have, and that's something. That's everything post Hugo. I've got softer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So no matter what the weather, I'm going outside. Exactly. I don't want to be running on a treadmill at all. So the least amount of time inside, the better.
So mentally, I might have got a little bit softer.
How has training been then since Hugo's arrival? How's dad life, and what's it like being a runner and a dad?
I think last year I started training for the Manchester Marathon to break sub 3 when we just had Hugo. He was born on the 30th of December, and I started training just straight after that. for obviously April. And it was, honestly, I don't think I enjoyed any of it. I honestly hated it all. But I sort of had this pressure on myself, like, oh, I've got to get sub 3. I've got to get sub 3. There's people on YouTube saying that I can do it, so I'll give it another go and all this sort of stuff. And I didn't enjoy any running at the time. And when I ran Manchester and I ran 30, I think it was 33 or 32 seconds over, I was just like, bloody hell. You know, your body can do some crazy things, because if you knew how bad that camp was, you know, you'd be impressed, because I just genuinely could not believe I'd run 32 seconds over a sub 3 when I was, honestly, some days I had 2 hours, 3 hours broken sleep. It was like that for so many weeks. It was just so bad.
This is the thing, when you say you've got softer since Hugo, that actually shows how mentally tough you are, because if you're going out when you're not enjoying training and actually pushing through it to get to that point, you're actually building mental strength.
I guess it's experience as well, isn't it, how to deal with it all. And like back then, it was like, if I ever got 4 hours, I remember I had a scale. Like if you had 4 hours, that was a good night. So you'd be like, oh, I can go hard the next day in a session. But that was a good night. 4 hours. I was like, yes, let's go. Let's go do an interval session. Then I've got 4 hours.
Yeah.
You know, an amazing night would be 5, but you could get 5, but it was always broken. But you'd never get. I don't think it was until after summer where I got more than 4 or 5 hours straight, I think. So the whole Manchester camp was just ridiculous. And then Amsterdam, I remember it got to about week 8 in Amsterdam training. He started to sleep a little bit more. So I started to get like 5, maybe 6 hours broken. But now this year, I can't blame Hugo at all if I fail. It's just all
it's electrolytes. It's electrolytes.
It's electrolytes. Yeah. If I fail again, I'm just like, well, I can't blame Hugo. He's sleeping like 12 hours now.
How long has this training block been? How many weeks?
It's been 10 weeks. So it's been quite short. But I was training for that Dewsbury 10K, that one where I didn't do very well, but I was quite ill. I had a viral infection, so I had been training pretty straight through from Christmas, I think, because I was doing the 10K, and then I just switched over. So I specifically 10 weeks for Manchester, but I've been keeping myself fit through January, December. So hopefully it counts.
Fair play for doing that race, feeling how you were, by the way.
That's the one where I got those comments on YouTube saying I was
which was ridiculous.
That was the one.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's exactly what we do. I think your approach is, in a way, is very similar to mine and Brett's. It's honest, it's open. It's never you should do this, you should do that. We're not coaches, we're not professionals. We're just people that enjoy runners, and we're all, varied abilities, and we, I don't know, sometimes have to face people in the public who want to. It's normally middle-aged men, let's face it, who tell us how we should be doing things, and it's like, well, no, because we're not doing that to you. So just chill out. Just let me do what I want to do. But not everybody sees it that way, do they?
Absolutely. And we have to make mistakes anyway, because that's how we sort of improve, don't we?
Yeah.
Running is all about finding that journey, and everyone's journey is a different road, and that's the beauty of it. That's why I like watching YouTube, and I actually find myself looking for the smaller channels now and finding people like who maybe not well known. When I first got into running, it was like, Ben Parks, Seth James DeMore, like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. But now I find myself, looking for people that sort of starting that journey from raw or starting to vlog, because it reminds me of like the connection I had when I first started. And I actually prefer that sort of, how you two guys do it and how I do it. I just like that telling a story, you know what I mean? There's no like, here's top 10 tips to get a better half marathon. You know what I mean? That sort of.
Yeah.
I I want stories.
Most of the time, you listen to those top tips and you don't relate to any of those tips, and you've tried them in the past and they've never worked. So they're still pushing the same thing, which
get 9 hours sleep.
80-20 split. Easier or harder. It's just it's all generic stuff, isn't it? But I like journeys. I like stories. So for me, that's why, I guess that's why we've sort of found each other in the, the YouTube space, because we all sort of relate to each other, and we've just got goals and we want to just document how we get there.
One thing me and Brett touched on a while ago is how weird it is when you're at parkrun or a race and someone will come up and talk to you, and like, not weird in a bad way weird, but like you think you get, I don't know if you can, relate to this, but it's almost like you think, oh, I can't believe people actually watch my videos sometimes. Like, people literally come up and say, really enjoy the videos, or I like this one, like that one. So how do you deal with, the fame? How do you get people coming up to you? Because I know you obviously see a lot of people at races and stuff.
Yeah, I do. Last Manchester, there was so many people coming up to me, and that's when I realised, oh right, people are actually watching and following. And I think that's why I chose Amsterdam. I was like, I want to sort of get to a race where nobody's going to even sort of talk to me, and so I can warm up and everything, and just have my mind fully focused on it. But yeah, Manchester was crazy last year, and I think it's going to be more people have obviously followed the story and wishing me well and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's really nice, because there's nothing better when someone says, oh, I've watched your video and I've signed up to a marathon or whatever, because that's just, that's just amazing when someone picks up running because they've watched me fall on my arse or something. It makes it all worth it. You know what I mean? And if I could get family and friends on board, that makes it all worth it. But yeah, it's good, but then sometimes it adds pressure. I'm sure you've probably felt it as well. When you've said you're going to do something, you think, oh, should I have said that? You know what I mean? And then you think, and it's like, oh God, what have I done? But that's what it's like. And we put our, like you said before on the channel, on your YouTube, you put your stories out there, you put all your training out there, so people will be invested, and they will have their eyes on you. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people wanting you to break that 3:30 in Valencia.
Yeah, well, we've got to mention that as well, because me and you, Will, we're both going over to España.
Oh, you're doing Valencia as well, Will?
Yeah,
amazing.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, I've heard really good things about Valencia. It seems like a really good race.
Yeah,
and I'll be honest, I'm mega excited for that. I'm kind of using this year as one big training block, and I'm hoping that I can do well in Wales. I hope I do well in Newport, but I might race differently in Valencia to how I've raced in Newport. I think I might be slightly more on the conservative side in Newport, but in Valencia, I'm probably going to go out at sub-3 pace and see what happens. But no, I think if you're traveling somewhere all the way out there, it's different, isn't it? You don't want to go there and sort of come back with regrets, or you wish you tried a bit harder, or you wish. So I think when I do get round to doing Valencia, I think I will race it slightly different. But I know Brett's just thinking the complete opposite. He's like, well, no, what's the point in that? I just race all my races exactly the same way.
I don't know about
hard from the gun.
Hopefully, though, Valencia will be your victory lap, Will, and you won't have that pressure hanging over your head because you've already done it.
I would love to be able to get to Valencia and just be like, I'm just going to run and not worry about if I need to get sub-3 or whatever. But we'll see what
talking
happens.
of that, with Manchester looming in, 9 days' time?
God, I'm crapping myself.
Same way. What is your plan for the day? What's your plan of action when the gun goes?
Well, I'm thinking, because this is new for Manchester this year, that they've merged the red wave. Have you noticed?
Yes, they have. Yes,
and I think it's going to be a lot better, because if you look at the red wave pacer, it's just 3 hours. And I've been told all the faster runners that were going for like 250 or whatever have been pushed into the white wave.
Yeah.
So I think now we're just going to be running with everyone, surely going for sub 3. So it's going to have this big pack energy. And I think it'll be a lot more helpful, because last year I was waiting for the sub 3 pacer, got to him, set off with him, and I was like, I'm going to run with him. 20 seconds, he's gone. I was like, bloody hell.
Oh, wow.
What pace is he going? And he'd gone. I was like, well, do I go with him or do I run
What pace was he running for that first mile then?
Well, I was going 4:15, which is sub 3 pace, and he'd gone.
Wow,
Cleared.
man,
I was like, that's my plan gone. So yeah. So I think this year, I think they've done it so anyone in red, just red wave should really be going for sub 3. Yeah. And anyone else trying to aim faster, they've been pushed into the white wave. That's what I think they've done. Somebody replied to my story and said that, which makes sense, because last year I remember sitting in the pen asking people what they're going for, and some people were going for like sub 250, and I was like, what, you're in the same wave as me? Yeah. I'm just like, you're going to get this pack of just, people zooming off. So I think they've made it more clear that if you're going for sub 3, you are red wave.
Yeah, because I what did you put as your target time or predicted time in your entry?
I think I did. Just bang on 3 hours, I think.
Okay, because I think I put 2:55 on mine.
Right.
But I'm in red wave as well.
Yeah. I think anyone who's around 3 hours will be red wave, I think. But my mate Danny, who's not running, he was in the white wave, and he was going for sub 250, I think.
Okay.
So if they put him in that, I think, yeah.
So do you reckon you'll go out at sub 3 pace and then just keep it consistent, or you're going to go out a bit more conservative? Or
I'm going to go out at around 410 to 413 minute kilometer pace, and just hover between that. I'm not,
because you work in those strange kilometers like Andy, don't you? I haven't got a clue how.
I'm not sure what that is in miles. I'm not sure what that is. Mile pace.
It doesn't matter. The answer is it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because sub 3 is just under 3 hours is 6:51 pace.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I'm hoping to average at 4:10, which is 6:42.
Oh wow! Okay, so you'll be close to me then, because I am.
Well, that's what I'm aiming at, but
I'm going for 6:40s.
It might not.
So
okay, yeah.
So if you end up positive split in the marathon and getting a PB, I presume you'll just take that all day long. Well, you never know. You never know.
I don't think I'll positive split. I mean. Oh well, hang on. Positive. Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, positive.
That's what I'm saying. So if you end up slowing down but still do well, you won't care. You'll be like, well, I'm glad I went out hard.
I mean, that's what I did last year. I went out at 6:40 pace and ended up doing the last few mile like crawling, more or less.
I mean, to be honest, I don't know anyone who's not done that. To be honest, do you think that's like? To think about negative split in a marathon, to me, I'm just like, how?
Yeah, a hard marathon as well.
I've just never, ever. Have you ever done that, Andy? Have you ever negative
don't be
split?
No. Got negative split. I've walked to my local petrol garage.
I can't. When I speak to people and see that, or see people that I've broke sub 3, I don't see anyone putting the faster Ks near the end. It's always either you've held on and they've told me it was like an absolute war to hold on, or they've slowed down. I don't.
Yeah.
And even some of the pros, when you look at those, they don't necessarily negative split, do they?
No. Yeah, a lot of them
are
one
of those things,
or slightly positive.
Yeah. So I don't think I'm good enough to do that. So I don't think I'm it will be a positive split.
Yeah, because 640 pace that I'm going for is 255. So if you're going out at 642s, you're going out at about, what's that, 256 pace?
Yeah. I mean, if I don't feel good on the day, I will drop it down to more the 413 pace, which will be, have a look on here, around 250, 258, 257, 258. That's the sort of if I feel a little bit off. Mm-hmm. But I will go out at around 410.
So when you've been doing your training sessions, so your long Sunday runs, and you've been running at marathon pace or target marathon pace, what pace have you been running to?
I've not done any marathon pace in any long run.
Ooh,
which is exactly the same I did in Amsterdam training.
Oh, right.
And I don't think I will again, because for the first Manchester, I did, pretty much what everyone else does, which is marathon pace blocks, your 5 time, 5 here, 10 there, or progressive second half. And I did absolutely tons of marathon pace blocks in many long runs for Manchester. And, I've run 20 seconds off Amsterdam and the second Manchester when I had a baby and I was at my worst. So to me, I've done both methods.
Yeah.
And I don't see the need to do it, because it just puts extra strain on my body, and I don't think it is needed. So
would you generally train under that 3 hour pace on your long runs, and you never train, because you sometimes train over it, don't you?
What normally happens is you go at a steady pace, so it's not easy, not hard, but keep your heart rate just a little bit elevated from easy, and then you'll do like a fast finish where the last maybe 12, 16k is working down to faster than marathon pace, but there's no structure where it says this K to that K is that, or what pace it is. It's just, you just go how you feel and you work down. So maybe I might have run marathon pace for a K or something as I've worked my way down, but I'm not, it just means I'm not constantly checking the watch and sort of like going, I need to hit pace for this 5k. I'm just going with the flow, increasing the pace, going by feel. And while I'm doing that, I'm just making sure I'm not into my lactate, because if it does, I'll slow down. Because if you start going into your lactate so early, it's sort of like you're racing. So it's a bit it starts to make the long run a little bit pointless. So that's all I've been doing. And I did that for Amsterdam. And like I say, I ran 30 seconds off, and I had, half of that camp sleep deprived and all the stresses of parenting and all that sort of stuff.
And you also spent 2 minutes sat on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. And like at 38k, fitness wise, aerobically, I was there, but my legs gave out. So technically I felt the fittest. So I've done it again for this time. Same, where I've run no marathon pace blocks or structure in the long run. And I find that a lot of the Olympians and the coaching plans that I get seem to go on this style, whereas the sort of, like the lesser training plans from like, like not your elites, they do put a lot of the marathon pace in. So it's hard to know what's right or what's wrong, but I guess it's just on you, isn't it? What some people, my brother before Amsterdam put in a monster session with tons of marathon pacing, and he run a great time in Amsterdam. So he cracked it doing that. And so it's just whatever your body can, if you can deal with the recovery after putting, 2 times 10k of marathon pacing, and you're okay, then go with it. It's but for me, if I feel a bit too broken down that Monday morning, I just think, I'll go with the not doing the marathon pace blocks just because, I feel a bit better. But like, obviously it works for some people because they're getting great results and they broke sub 3. I mean, you broke sub 3, Brett. So mentally, you've done it. You know what I mean? And you must have known doing those marathon paced long runs. You're probably thinking that's what took you over the line. So again, it's all that's what you thought you needed, and it worked. It's all down to the individual, I think. Really.
What number marathon is this Manchester for you? How many have you done? How many have you got under your belt?
I think it's about eight or something. But it'll be the 5th time for sub 3 attempts. Yeah.
So do you think that first Manchester was? I know it was your PB, but is that your proudest marathon performance?
No, it'll be the Manchester last year, just because of the time of what happened with the baby and stuff. And I was, when I crossed that line, I was like, how is that possible? And I remember on the videos, just like, I'm so proud I've run that, even though I didn't get it. But to be like 30 odd seconds, 20 seconds off from when I trained like an absolute monk and a machine, and I've run 20 seconds off, sleep deprived to the I couldn't believe it. So I think that one was.
I think that's one of the best things about that video is you cross the line and you're obviously disappointed you haven't run sub 3, but you're still really happy with your performance. So a lot of people would have crossed the line and the rest of the video would have been a bit down because you haven't hit that target. But your video, you're actually quite positive and you're really quite up. So even though people are going, did you do it? Did you do it? And you're going, no, I didn't quite. But you're still really positive about everything that happened. And I think that's a great part of that video.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's been a crazy ride, this sub 3 thing. And there's so many times where I've wanted to pack it in. I'll be honest, I've
you
always
can't though, can you?
I know, that's the thing.
It just keeps on clawing your back.
Exactly, yeah. It's just one of them things, isn't it?
Did I hear you say at Amsterdam you've moved up an age group, or you're close to moving up an age group? Does that affect your? Are you interested in a good for age time for anything?
Well, I was until yesterday. Was it? They've updated them all.
Wednesday they changed the good for age times, didn't they?
Yeah. So it's gone. I was hoping to run London next year.
Well, it hasn't gone because what age? I don't mean to intrude, but what age bracket are you in now?
I'm V40 now. So
V40. So it's sub 3 is now the good for age time.
But the real cutoff will be 2:55.
Well,
won't it?
This is the conversation I've been having with a few people. Is what they've actually done is they've pulled down all of the good for age times to be equal with what would have got you in this year. So last year it was 3:05 for over 40s, but unless you run under 3, you weren't going to get in because they had so many entries that they brought it down on the fastest first. So if you got under 3, you got in. And what I
heard
think
it was 2:58, wasn't it, for the V40? The cut.
Well, no, because I got in and I did 2:59.21 and I got in.
Oh right.
So
okay.
But what I think they've done is they've brought it down so less people will be entering, so less people will be able to say, hang on, I ran the good for age time but didn't get a good for age place. So lots of people this year were moaning because they'd run the time they needed but still didn't get a place. Whereas if they bring it down to the time that will definitely get you a place, less people will be entering and you'll hopefully 100% get a place. So if you do get that sub 3, it might be on.
Wow. Well, I hope you're right because
fingers crossed.
2 days. The last 2 days I've just been like, well, that's gone. That's out the window. I'm not running a sub 2:55.
No, I know. Well, this is the thing because that was the whole point of me going to Manchester again. I knew it was a good course. And I wanted to go and get that good for age time again. So the fact they've brought them down by 5 minutes is a bit annoying, but hopefully it means that there will be less people getting those times and we'll be in with a bigger chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, I hope you're right. Yeah.
a question for both of you, I guess, because you've got, what did you say, 9 days to the big day?
Yeah.
What does your taper look like? Sorry, Will. What does your taper, or what does the rest of the time look like for both of you? Like, what are you going to do?
You go first, Will.
I think I've only got one hard session left. I think that's next Wednesday, and then I think the hard session next Wednesday is a 6 times 1K. I think it's around 5K effort pace.
Oh wow!
And then there's a few 200s. Yeah, there's a few 200 reps. So it's quite when I was looking at it, I was thinking this is quite an intense session, but it says on the Wednesday to do that, and then on the Tuesday,
that'll be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4
very
days
close.
out. And how much effort's in there?
It's 6 times 1K, and then there's 3 times 200s.
Okay, so there is about 4 mile of effort. So hopefully in those 4 days, that effort will be out your legs, ready to go on Sunday.
But there won't be There's definitely no danger of you being sluggish on the day if you're doing a big session like that. So, and are you doing much?
Last long run this Sunday.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you doing much carb loading? Are you a believer in that, or is your diet going to stay exactly the same?
Well, here's the thing with the carb load. That's something that I've read about more, and I can't believe that I've never actually done it properly. I don't know what you two do, but
Andy stuffs his face the night before. I do the Domino's Pizza Hut Papa John's challenge. Try and get the hat trick.
Well, I've literally just thought it was just add more ratio of carbs on your plate, and you sort of have your same meals and just add a sports drink and a bit of a snack. So for the last Manchester, I remember I had a sports drink, a high five at night, extra with my dinner. I had pasta, and I think I ate through the day a bag of pretzels. But now I've been reading into it and looking at the actual recommended numbers, it's mind-blowing how much carbohydrate per kilogram body weight that you're supposed to have.
Yeah, and you're supposed to start half a week before the race.
Yes, something like 3 days out, and it's just I've not done anything like that. So it's sort of opened my eyes a little bit. And I remember trying to count exactly what I had before Amsterdam, and I must have been half what I should have been having, which is scary because
which
I
is
can't believe it's taken that. Yeah.
Which is possibly why your legs gave way, because it didn't quite have that energy at the end.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think, because I remember my brother, he was carb loading a lot better. He was drinking super carbs, which is 80 grams carbs in 500 ml. And he was having a few of those on that day. And I don't know what it was. I think I was just I'll just do what I've always done sort of thing, which was just have 3 meals, make sure it's, more geared towards carbohydrates, and have a few snacks, pretzels, and one sports drink. But it's no way near. I think what I've read, and obviously it's different to place, but it ranges from anywhere from 8 grams to 10 or 11 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. So I'm 62 kilograms, I think. And that's if I'm going, let's say, go with 10 to make it easy, but that's 620 grams of carbs. I'm just that's a lot. How do you get that?
Doesn't sound manageable. The Pizza Hut Domino's trilogy, Papa John's, doesn't sound so stupid now, does it?
Yeah. Well, that's the hard part. How did you get 620 grams of carb without feeling
really
Jabba the Hutt?
Yeah.
Just that's the hard part. I can't believe it's taken me all these marathons, and I'm just hitting myself on the head thinking, why is it only now that I've looked into an actual carb load? So hopefully, because 3 days out, I'll start and do a carb load.
I've been listening to a few podcasts as well, and they've said they changed their diet completely. So instead of when it gets to those 3 days before the marathon, they completely cut out vegetables, so they're not getting as much fiber. And then they cut out meat, so it doesn't
red meat,
affect them. it's so their diet completely changes and becomes really plain and bland.
Yeah, that's what I've read as well. And I think it's low fiber, low fat, and low/moderate protein. That's the general feeling I'm getting of all the sources and podcasts and everything. And roughly about 3 days out where you sort of start doing that. So I'm going to do that this time, and hopefully I will get around, it might not be 600 odd, but it will be, somewhere from 500 to 600, which I'll do. But I mean, like if you're a heavier runner, that's a lot of, because I think 600 for me, and I'm like 62k, but I don't know what you two weigh, but I can't imagine if you're having to get 700, 800 grams of carb per day. How are you going to do it? How would you do it?
I'm just going to work out what weight I am, because I work in stone.
What are you, Andy?
God knows. I haven't weighed myself for such a long time. If I had to guess, I'd somewhere between 65 and 70, something like that.
So you're going to be having 700 grams of carb per day. And it's like, when you think about it, a bagel is like, 40 grams? So that's, it's frightening, but it's,
I've just worked out I'm 65 kilograms. So
so 650 if you're going with the 10.
Sounds so a lot, doesn't it?
Sports drinks,
big gamble, isn't it? Because if it doesn't pay off and you get to the start line and you're feeling
sluggish and heavy.
But I guess the science makes sense, but
it's one of them things where you're like, how do they do it and not feel so bloated? But they do say.
Is this the approach you said that elite marathoners take? Or is this recommended advice for anybody?
I think this is recommended for, I think, most people that are going for a competitive time in a marathon. It seems to be like the carb load is scientifically proven to work. Absolutely. Scientifically, definitely proven. I'm not sure if it matters so much for the slower marathoners. And the reason why is because I don't think they could get to, I think they were talking about, there's a point where they don't actually burn through their glycogen stores because they never get to that intensity.
Yeah, so they're still burning fat stores as well.
Exactly. Their body and sort of aerobic fitness won't allow them to take them into that intensity, I guess. So it's sort of like if you're running a really slow marathon, you're better off, you're probably better off taking fuel as you go, and like bars and things like that, because you're going to get hungry as the time goes, and sort of you'll have different issues than what someone really pushing to that faster time would get. I think scientifically it just works out that you won't eat into that very short, glycogen store that we get. I think it's an hour and a half or something that we get.
Yeah, something like that.
And I think that's the science behind it. But in essence, it is very, very scientifically proven that you should be fully carb loaded. Well, your glycogen stores should be absolutely top to the max.
Yeah, full to the brim.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there was a Canadian, I can't remember which video it was, but it was the next Canadian Olympian saying, like, literally, like, most people don't turn up to a marathon even half loaded, and that's like one of the biggest mistakes. And he was like saying, if you can't get it in with food, try just a supplement. And he was like saying, I use something like, it's in Canada, so I don't think we put what brand it is, but it was like Carb Pro, and it's just literally low fat, low fiber, low protein, just pure carbohydrate, and he takes that to get the numbers so high.
Wow.
So when I was thinking about it, I was like, bloody hell, it's something that I've never even thought about until it's taken me 4 times to fail to even Google and research and listen. And I can't believe it.
Are you going to get as close as you can to that number then? You're
Absolutely,
going to actually try? Yeah.
Absolutely. I've sort of practiced it there's one thing that's different as well. I've practiced that, obviously not to the same extent, but on my long runs, I've actually carb loaded, sort of like 36 hours before or a day before, just to see if your body can, take on that carb without, crapping yourself through the run or whatever. So because it is a lot of carbohydrates to take. So practiced in the long runs and
I've tried something different on all my long runs this year, because last year when I did all my long runs, I was going out without eating before. I was going out fasted, which was a very silly idea to do, and I was just taking on fuel whilst I was on the run. But really, I should have been, So this year, I've been making sure that I've been eating enough the night before and eating in the morning and taking on a carb drink before I go out and all sorts. So it'll be very different this year, hopefully.
So how's your taper going to look, Brett, the next week?
So what I've got left is Parker run tomorrow. So I'll probably go out too fast as always. So that'll be a bit of an effort. And then Sunday, I've got 10 mile on the cards with probably have about 5 mile of marathon pace in there. And then the next week is just 5K runs, either all steady or marathon pace at the max. So I'll probably do 4 lots of 5K throughout the week. And then, go for it on the Sunday.
Cool.
So my taper has gone. So I peaked at 91.5 mile, and then last week was 71 mile. So that's around sort of 75%, just over. And then this week I'll end on about 45, 46, which will be 50%.
Yeah.
And then next week will be really minimal.
Yeah. Exciting. How are you both feeling then at this stage? Confident?
I'm really nervous. I'm really nervous, to be honest.
I know you've got
I'm excited, but I'm excited, but I'm nervous.
Yeah, I've had the paranoia big time this week. Absolutely destroyed me on Monday. So on Thursday last week, after my session, I had a weird, we did a session on the track. We did 800s. And after the session, I had like a weird pinching sensation on the back of my leg. And then had rest day Friday. And then at park run, it was a little bit still pinchy. And then when I went out for my long run on the Sunday, it got a bit worse and then became tightness in my hamstring. And I was like, I've pulled my hamstring. And Monday's like easy run, I was like, I've full on pulled my hamstring here. I have done myself a mischief. I've ruined my marathon. And I was in such a state, worrying that I'd ruined everything. So took a rest day on Tuesday rather than going down to session, and like got in touch with the physio, and she was like, just foam roll and get proper sleep. And I did that, rested on Tuesday. Wednesday felt all right, and then yesterday I did my session, felt fine. I've still got a strange, weird, pinchy sensation. It's like tingly, pinchy things, but I think it's just because I've reduced the mileage so much. My muscles aren't used to being like they feel. Yeah, it's strange. So yeah, paranoia has been very real this week.
They're missing. They were like, "Come on, Brett, we're supposed to do 100-mile week this week. What's going on?"
But yeah, so yeah, it's been a strange old week. But now I feel a bit more confident, but I'm still not 100%.
Do you wish it was on the same day as Newport and Boston and had those extra weeks, or do you think you're ready?
I'm ready to go now. Yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready for Sunday next week. I am ready to go, but
ready to go.
I've just got to get into that mental state of being ready to go. My body's ready to go, I think, but mentally I'm not there yet. So I've got a week to get into that headspace.
Yeah. I'm excited for you both. You're going to have a wicked day out. So will you be in the same wave, did you say?
Yes.
Red Wave. Yeah.
Oh,
I think you'll be going faster than me from the start. I think.
Well, I'm going at 6:40
gone,
pace, so you'll be 2 seconds behind me.
Yeah.
And this might be spreading fake news as well, but last year I clocked. Admittedly, I started a lot further back than you two, but I clocked 42.6, so 400 meters further or something like that.
I think I did,
or something like that. So it might be worth.
I clocked 25.5 miles.
You didn't get a medal. You didn't finish. So
that was my silly Apple Watch last year.
That's the peril sometimes of running to your watch, isn't it? You don't take into account the zigzagging you do or the overtaking or
42.6 I got.
So if you run exactly to pace at Manchester, that'll be at your peril because you will come up short, won't you? So probably need to add a second in there as a bit of grace.
With my watch being that far off, I had to start working to the mile markers and time rather than mile splits on my watch.
Yeah,
because it was so far off. I just I was from halfway. I was using the mile markers and just going off time and trying to do the mental maths as I ran round. You'd have been screwed, Andy.
I would have just given up. Just quickly before we go on to the end of the podcast quiz, which I'm delighted to. Will's involved in this as well.
Excellent.
Will, at quizzes.
Is it a hill or is it not a hill?
Well, oh God. I'll say in the first Manchester, it felt like Mount Everest. The second Manchester, it was a hill. Hoping this time it's not a hill.
It's just a
but I'll let you know after. I'll let you know after.
Enough.
But I guess it depends on how you feel, doesn't it?
Yeah,
at the time. But the first time,
it's at that strange place in the marathon as well, isn't it? It's at a strange distance where it suddenly comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. And you're not quite struggling yet, is you? At that time, so it's sort of like plays with your head.
I will say my favourite thing about it though was all the people going over that bridge before you hit the hill. And they were going, "Oh, is this the hill? This is nothing." And then they hit the hill and go, "Oh no."
I was on that motorway bridge going, "Blooming hell, this is steep." Not even got to the hill yet. It's supposed to be flat. But Mac, who we've mentioned a couple of times, friend of the podcast, Mac, he has done a video on the hill. So if anyone's interested in seeing what it's like, if there are any Manchester virgins out there or anyone wants to jog their memory, just type in something like Altrincham Hill Manchester Marathon and it should come up. And he just done a little run up it and he's given you a few stats of steepness and how long it should take you and stuff. So have a look out for that.
Yeah, what was it he said in the video? He said arguably the best, the hardest part of the marathon.
Yeah, I do have fond memories of that, thinking about it. Maybe not at the time, but I remember getting to the top of Altrincham and thinking, thank God. Because it is technically all downhill from there. But so is, you could have.
It is
that's where the fun starts. Yeah,
he is. Yes, yeah.
Is he? What time's he? What time's he going for, or what waves he?
I could be wrong, but I don't know if Mac's broken 4 yet. But I know what shape he's in. He's in good shape this year.
Is he?
So I'm going to drop him in it and say I think he can easily. Everyone says 3:30 to me, so it's easy for him. I reckon he can do a 3:45 easily. Maybe even closer to 3:40. But
what was his last? What was his last marathon? What course was it that he got his?
I think it might have been Manchester. Oh no, did he do Amsterdam? I think he did Amsterdam. Yes, I think he did Amsterdam, and I can't remember how it went for him. That might have been the year before. Mac, let me know in the comments. But I'm throwing you under the bus there, mate. 3:40, please. In fact, 3:39.
Sub 3:40.
Come on, Mac, it's on.
It's on, mate. Okay, it's the moment that you've all been waiting for, apart from Will. It's Brett's end of the podcast quiz starring the Woo. So, 5 questions. And there is a connection today. There is a connection with the answers. Now, because it's you two against each other, let's do a fastest finger first. Like, if you know it, you've got to buzz in.
God. More pressure.
Yeah. So, you can buzz in by saying the word Barry's videos. That's your buzzer. Okay. So, question one. Question one. What is the shot called in basketball when a player thrusts the ball down through the basket?
Barry's videos.
Oh, that was tight. I'm going to give it to Will.
Slam dunk?
Will. Is correct. 1-0 Will. Question 2. No shame if you don't know any of these, because some of these are hard. And as I've said before, nobody gets full marks in my quizzes. Angel, Tugela, and Tres Hermanas are the world's 3 biggest what? Angel, Tugela, and Tres Hermanas.
Oh, God.
All right, I'll give you 5 seconds and we'll move on. Any Barry's videos takers?
Can you give us a clue?
It's a natural thing.
Oh, like Barry's videos.
Oh, yes. Go on then, Brett, please.
Waterfalls, Angel Falls.
Is correct.
Oh, nice.
Question 3. How is your fashion knowledge? We'll see. Question 3. Anna Wintour is the editor of which magazine?
Oh,
Barry's videos.
Oh, go on, Brett.
Vogue.
He's done it.
Oh, he's done it.
He's done it. He's got it. Question
got
4.
A copy on his table.
He has. Question 4. Sinead O'Connor did what to a picture of the Pope in 1992?
Oh. Barry's videos.
Go on, Will.
Did she tear it up?
Yes, she did. It's 2-2. It's going to come down to the last question. Now, sadly, there is a question here that I'm going to do for sort of shits and giggles at the end, because it technically is incorrect, but you'll really like it. But question number 5. NASA did what in July 20th, 1969?
Barry's videos.
Oh, my God. Barry's videos.
Go on, Brett. I mean, that was that was really close. Oh, my God. Barry's videos.
Go on, Brett.
Oh, go on, Brett. You got there.
Landed a man on the moon.
That is correct. So,
I went to NASA summer last year. It was amazing. My man, it's incredible. Kennedy Space Center, just to see things that have been in space. It's crazy.
That's I went there as a kid. I remember thinking this is so cool, because I think you got to see Saturn V, which is the rocket that maybe launched Apollo 11. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
and they've got the space shuttle in the second room now,
cool.
which is crazy. The fact that that's been to space and back several times, and now
Do you guys watch, or have you heard of a big YouTuber called Bold and Bankrupt? He's one of these guys that just goes to places and films and talks to the locals. He's done one in as far away as he goes to places like, he went to Ukraine during the war. He was randomly there. He goes to Kazakhstan. He's been all around the world. And one of them he did was in Russia, and he basically broke in to he was the guy you might have heard of who got arrested because he broke into a restricted military facility that the Soviet Union had a space shuttle, but was decommissioned, but just left standing in its hangar, and he broke in. I definitely recommend going to watch it. Bold and Bankrupt Space Shuttle. You'll really enjoy it. It's about half an hour long video, so it's quite good. What did we get the answer, by the way? Did any of you get the connection?
No, that's the next thing. We've got to.
So, all right, I'll tell you the last that I've scrubbed this question out because I've worked out that it's actually incorrect. But the last bonus question: which marathon this year became the biggest ever mass participated event?
Barry's videos.
Yes, go on. Well,
I think it was it in India?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Mumbai.
Is it Mumbai?
That is correct. Yes. But I've done a bit of research into it, and there were 60,000 runners, but only 10,000 were marathoners. So I don't know if that's plausible or not. So, Mumbai is a bonus answer, if you will. So you've got slam dunk, rip or tear, or something to do with that verb, vogue, waterfalls, and man on the moon.
Is it all 90s songs?
That is correct. Brett Elsmore. He's done it. But I didn't hear Barry's video.
Slam Dunk the Funk by Five.
Yeah.
Waterfalls by TLC.
Yeah.
Vogue by Madonna. Man on the Moon by R.E.M. And Tear It Up.
No,
Bradley and Brullier.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, did you get the Mumbai one?
Nice.
Mumbai.
Oh, that's connected as well. The bonus one.
Yeah. See, this is where I think of the answer first, and then I have to think of a question around it. Think of any NSYNC songs?
Bye, bye, bye.
Mumbai, bye.
Or you could have just done Bop.
Oh yeah, probably should have done that. Shouldn't I? Well, I was going to do that one by the Crash Test Dummies, which was, but I couldn't think of a question.
I like it.
Brilliant.
Oh,
I think that's us, boys.
Yes.
What's the time
fun.
on that
was
one?
Awesome. That was fun.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Will. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the pod.
Wicked, yeah.
And now the world knows about Barry's videos.
Yeah.
And we will have to have you back after Manchester to review and tell everyone about your sub-3 marathon.
Yeah. It would be good to have another one when we've all sort of done the marathons, yeah.
Season 2.
At the end of the
debrief.
End of the month. Newport.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you to everybody who is still listening. Hope your long run went well and this pod was long enough. But yeah, we shall me and Andy shall see you next week. Best of luck, Will, at Manchester. I will see you up there.
Too.
We'll go and smash it. So I'll see you up there.
Nice one,
guys. Cheers.
I wanna see you out that door, baby. Mumbai, bye. I've exposed myself as an NSYNC fan there.